Chapter 5, Problem 1, this is exercise 5.4 in your text, asks us to do some things. I've gone through and underlined in orange the things that we need to know. I guess you could sort of say, orange, you're glad I did that. Anyhow, we sold 50,000 units. The total sales were 200,000, so that's $4 a unit. The variable expenses were 120,000, so that's what, $3 a unit, something like that. No, less than that. And the fixed expenses were 65,000. They want to know the company's contribution margin and what happens if we can increase the sales by a total of $1,000. Well, let's take a look at this. The total sales last year, they told us this was $200,000. And they told us that the variable expenses were $120,000. Therefore, our total contribution margin was $80,000. But we need to know what that is with relation to the total contribution margin, because of every sale, this is 100%. And then we're going to take this and decide what fraction that is. So we're going to take the sales, and we're going to take the expenses, and we're going to divide by the contribution margin. So if we take 80,000 of sales divided by 80,000 of margin divided by 200,000 of sales, we come up with 40% contribution margin, 60% variable cost ratio. So our ratio between costs and contribution margin is 60-40. So for every dollar of sales that we generate a possibility of an additional 40% profit once we've covered all of the fixed costs. So let's fill in this. The total contribution margin was 80,000. That's that. The total sales was 200,000. And when you divide the 80 by the 200, you come up with the 40% that we talked about. Okay, so that's how we got those numbers, and that's how they all fit together. Now here's the beauty of the contribution margin. If I can figure out something that's going to increase my sales, 40% of that is going to be profit once we've reached the break-even point. So let's take a look at this. So we have our total change in sales of $1,000. That's the second part of the problem. Okay, if we can increase the sales by $20,000. Now remember, our total contribution margin before was 80, so we've already covered all our fixed expenses. So our fixed expenses are covered. Now we're going above that. And you had to make sure you picked up on that, because they didn't tell you that. You had to say, well, are the fixed expenses covered? They are. As a matter of fact, we're $15,000 past the break-even point. So if we get an additional $1,000 worth of sales and no additional fixed expenses, our contribution margin ratio is 40%. Our net income will increase by $400. And you can work out the entire problem if you want to. I've sent you a template if you want to do it, where you can fill in the new units and the old units and see what it will work out to be. But you're going to do a whole lot of work. You're going to go around in circles chasing your tail like a mad dog and find out that it comes out to $400.